I am beginning Akkadian grammar lessons, trying to hold each lesson to 10 or 15 minutes only. What I'm trying to do is an inductive grammar going through the Epilogue of Hammurabi as a base. I have already put out longer study, but now I want to do it in short lessons that would better fit, I think, where we're better fit putting it out on the internet, on YouTube. So as I do this, I want to begin, first of all, with the vocabulary. We're using the Epilogue of Hammurabi as a base. For anyone that might be interested, there's already a workout and a longer work that we've done. Now I'm shortening it to have short lessons to help encourage maybe more people to study Akkadian. If anyone is interested, they can find my work on Google Books, a translation of the Epilogue of Hammurabi's Code, an interlinear, literal, word-by-word translation of the Epilogue of Hammurabi's Code by Gary Stats. And I'm going to follow that as I try to develop this much shorter grammatical study. Let me just say this. For those that might have an interest, I am indebted to Borger, Borger, for the wonderful work, actually the landmark work that he did entitled Babylonisch Assyrisch Leserstück in German, where he did basically a transliteration of Hammurabi's Code, as well as other works in that wonderful work. What I would like to do is now use the normalization that I have given, as well as the transliteration, to teach basic grammar. Let me say this. I think grammar needs to be learned in Akkadian, my own opinion, from what has already been transliterated and normalized, rather than trying to learn the Akkadian signs along with it. Now, some would differ. I believe that the signs to read the Akkadian itself can be also done once the grammar is learned in short segments. I'm doing this myself. In retirement, I am doing this as a hobby and trying to improve in my own knowledge of the Akkadian signs, the syllable signs, and the logograms and so forth. So let me begin with vocabulary. As we start out in the first few lines of Hammurabi's Akkadian grammar, it begins with Dinat Misharum Shah Hammurabi Sharum Leum Ukinuma. And I've done my own normalization. And what I'd like to do is to look at the vocabulary first, and then look at a line or so in a 10 or 15 minute video. The word dinum means law, and the M at the end can put an abbreviation. It is the nominative case, the ending. So we always go back to that as we look at vocabulary. Dinum. Second word is misharum. Misharum, with the ending again, nominative means justice or equity. Shah is your relative pronoun in Akkadian, and then sharum is the word meaning king. Le'um is an adjective meaning, and it's all put into the nominative, meaning capable, a nominative singular adjective, or competent. And ukinuma, the next word to learn is a verb, kanu. Kanu, K-A-N-U, means to establish or to set up. So going back then to the first line of the code, it reads Dina'at Mishari'im. That's the literal transliteration. Shah Hammurabi Sharu'um Le'u'um Uki'inuma. And the normalization after the transliteration that I followed Borger in doing is Dinat Misharim Shah Hammurabi Sharum Le'um Ukinuma. And I would translate this, the laws of justice, which Hammurabi, the king competent, or the competent king, set up or established. Now, as we look at those few words, having seen the vocabulary, let me talk briefly about the grammar. Dinat is a noun, and it's from dinum. The ot ending is showing a feminine plural noun. And I'll do some relation to Hebrew. It reminds me of the ot ending in Hebrew. The noun means law. So the laws of Misharim. Misharim, notice the im ending is showing a genitive singular. We were looking at the nominative, it would be Misharum, followed then by the genitive Misharim. And is nominative, im is genitive, accusative is would be Misharam. And so what we have here is the noun that means justice. And I see a relationship with the Hebrew word meshar, meaning justice or equity. So Hammurabi's code begins, the laws of justice, Shah Hammurabi, which Hammurabi, Shah is the relative pronoun, meaning which. And when we think of the Hebrew, Mishnaic Hebrew has sheh, whereas biblical asher, and so Hammurabi is followed then by this, which is the noun referring to the name of the king, the one who is creating the law code. Sharu'um becomes sharum, and then we have sharum meaning king, followed then by the adjective, which we would render as sharu'um le'u'um, becoming le'um. So the king competent. Notice both end in and sharum means king, and le'um is an adjective meaning competent. So the laws of justice, which Hammurabi, the king competent, or the competent king, uki'inuma, set up or established. That's a verb in Akkadian, uki'inuma, and it actually is from the root kanu, a middle weak verb. In Akkadian, it's what we call the D preterite. And it's called a subjunctive third masculine singular from the root kanu, to establish or to set up. In Akkadian, and we pointed this out in our notes, it parallels in some ways the Hebrew PL stem. It shows intensification. The U here indicates a subjunctive which follows the relative sha in Akkadian in what we call subordinate clauses. It does not express a probability or a wish as a subjunctive would, for example, in Greek or Latin. So I'm going to stop there. I'm holding these to about 10 minutes or 15. I would learn the vocabulary first and then work through the grammar and then go to the cuneiform. So, dinat misharim shahamarapi sharum leum ukinuma would be the laws of justice which Hammurabi, the king competent or the competent king, set up. I'm going to stop there. I'm trying to hold these to no more than 10 or 15-minute time period.